Hello everybody, good morning. My name is Sorin Carbunaru. Yeah, I know I have a strange family name, at least for some of you, a difficult one. It's my first time at XML Prague. It's my first time at an XML conference. It's my first time at everything. So please be patient with me. I hope I won't mess it up. So wish me luck. Yeah. My task for the following 15 to 20 minutes or something like that is to talk to you about multimedia support in Oxygen. You might think that it's pretty much meaningless to try to emphasize the importance of multimedia in today's society. The society that watches maybe hundreds of millions of videos every day. We listen to music everywhere. We are live on social media, so multimedia is very important, is part of today's society. But even so, please allow me to start with the following illustration, with the following icebreaker. Let's imagine that I just moved to a new home, right? And I don't have a lot of furniture in my new home. I only have a bed in my bedroom, so I desperately need a wardrobe. I order one, and it comes to me in wood pieces and a lot of screws, and there's a big sheet of paper with like 20 steps or so, and between looking at step 1 and step 2, I'm already freaking out because I think that there are 5 missing sub-steps there. It's quite difficult to get to step 2. But whatever, I'm doing my job, I'm putting all the pieces together. And after the last step, after the 20th step, I'm looking around. I still have 1 or 2 wood pieces, a few screws, and what was supposed to be a wardrobe, guess what? Looks more like, I don't know, maybe a helicopter or something. So the point is that while images are indeed sufficient in some situations, there are some times where you would really need some animations or maybe a video, something that is more helpful to you to complete complex tasks. So moving on, the outline of my presentation about the multimedia support in Oxygen is the following. We will start with the audio and the video support in Oxygen in the author mode mainly. We will then have a look at animated or interactive SVGs. We will also have a look under the hood at the form controls that lay the foundation for the multimedia support in Oxygen, and we will conclude this presentation with the support for image maps. So let's start with the first point, audio and video support in Oxygen. Starting from 18.1, we introduced the insert media action in DITA, and in 19.0, that is supposed to be released probably sometime in April, we will also have the same action, a pretty similar action in DocBook and XHTML. You can reference local media, local audio and video files, and you can also reference remote multimedia files. You can quickly embed in the author mode in DITA videos from YouTube or Vimeo, and that's pretty nice. Of course, because the point of writing content is to publish it, the media objects are playable both in the author mode, so while you perform the content development, because you want to see what you have there, and obviously in the published HTML5 based output like web help systems. And I have here a sample project Here you can see I have two audio files, two audio players. I have two because one of them is for a remote MP3 file from NASA, and the other one here is a local one. And as I said, they can be played in the author mode. Okay. These are Neil Armstrong famous words. The same goes for video clips. Here I have a local file, and down here we have an embedded YouTube video. Both of them playable, so everything works just as you would expect. There are some particles blinking there, and here there are some mountains from Pluto. Okay, please start. Yeah, it's quite far. That's okay. So it plays, right? And I mentioned that in the published output you have the same functionality. I already published the project because it takes probably, I don't know, 15 seconds or so. I don't want to waste those seconds. Okay. So here we have the web browser's audio players, and again they work just as expected. Okay, we're hearing something, and the same thing for the movies that I showed you, the video clips that I showed you earlier. No rocket science, but they work just as expected, right? So that's everything you want from a lot of things, to work as expected. Okay, moving on. In Oxygen's author mode, you can render animated SVGs, and if the SVGs are interactive, if you have maybe JavaScript or something there, you can interact with them in the author mode. And again, I have a sample here in the outer space project. Okay, I know I'm not a graphic designer, but this is a very simple, just a proof of concept, a very simple illustration of a rocket's structure. Okay, so if you hover over certain areas of the rocket, you see what they represent. So this is the third stage. This is a command module. And if you click on the rocket, in 3, 2, 1, we have a liftoff. And after the space mission is done, the rocket safely lands back. Whew. Okay, and of course, the web browsers know how to do the same thing. So the rocket lifts off again, a second space mission, and again it lands back safely. I also said that we will have a look under the hood, because the multimedia support is built upon the foundation laid by form controls. We have 3 form controls, 3 pillars that sustain the multimedia support. The names are intuitive. Okay, so Oxy Audio, Oxy Video, and Oxy Browser. The browser is the one used for rendering and interacting with the SVG. And these form controls can be used in any XML framework. They can be used, actually you don't need the framework. You only need an XML and the CSS for implementing, for writing the form controls.
So maybe you can, just the form controls are functions that you can use from a CSS file in the content property.
Yes.
So the content you can use AudioVideo to basically add a video as a static content. Before an element, after an element, for instance. So before a video element, you can use the content property. Do you show this?
I have some examples. So because the syntax is quite simple, you see the CSS functions have, as I said, intuitive names, and they have only a few parameters, an href to reference the resource, of course, and some dimensions, width and height, depending on the form control that you use. So again, things that are simple to use and that work as you would want them to work. Now, if you want a picture of the multimedia support in Oxygen, I have one here. So up here we have a swimming, oh sorry, no swimming pool. Actually there is a swimming pool there, but up there we have the multimedia support in Oxygen, okay? And as I mentioned earlier, it's sustained, it's built on those three CSS functions, on those three what we call form controls, Oxy Audio, Oxy Video, and Oxy Browser. By the way, if you want to visit this is in Singapore. Maybe we could meet at XML Singapore in a few years. And the last point in the multimedia support presentation is represented by the image maps support. 2.5 months or so after the previous XML Prague, in 2016, we added this image map support in Oxygen. We have it available in DITA, in DocBook, in TEI, and in XHTML. One of the main points with these image maps is that you can have the big picture of, let's say, a complex mechanism, and then you can access information about each part, about each sub-module of that complex mechanism. So if you have the big picture, if you have a file with the image representing that complex mechanism, then you don't have to split that file in several image files. You only draw areas on that big picture and add hyperlinks on those areas. In order to use the image map support, we have developed the image map editor, which we will see in just a few moments. And again, this is meant for the output, and everything works great. Let's switch again. Oh, once more. Okay. To Oxygen. And I have another project here, the image maps. Okay, I will need this. And here I have a gear pump. The image map has already been created, but I will show you how you can do the same thing. As you can see, we have a lot of areas drawn here on this image, each one having a reference to another topic. And if you want to do the same thing, okay, let me please insert the initial image, the original image. Okay, so this is how you start. You have an image in the author mode. Now, if you want to draw those areas and add the hyperlinks, in the contextual menu, we have this image map editor action, which will show the image map editor. We have some actions here that allow you to draw all kinds of shapes. You see we have a free drawing action, so you can draw pretty much everything you want. You can duplicate, delete shapes, you can undo, redo. If you have shapes that overlap, you can choose which one is more important, and you can bring it more to the front, or if it's not that important, you can send it to the back with these 4 actions, and you can also choose some color schemes here as you desire. So let's say that we want to add a link for the drive shaft. I've chosen to manually create a shape here. So we have the shape now. Down here you can choose in DITA whether you want to add cross-references or file references or web links. I choose to create a cross-reference to the topic about the drive shaft. Okay, here you can write some information, drive shaft. Okay. And after inserting it, after creating your image map, you will see the area, the shape drawn on the image, and down here you will have a button for easily access again the image map editor and some image map details like the shape and the coordinates and the reference resource. But I will undo these changes, and again I have already published the gear pump project, and I will open it in my web browser. Here we have the big picture. Here we have our complex mechanism, and with all the shapes drawn over it. And as you can see, when you hover over certain parts of the gear pump, the cursor changes. That's a sign that, of course, we have a link there. And when clicking on the shape, you get the information about that part. You can read it. And with this image map, my presentation concludes. And now, if you have any questions, please ask them, and me and my colleagues will try to answer them. Yes, sure.
You're using a PNG in this case. If you would have an SVG, you could do away with a whole lot of complexity and just go straight for the SVG content to make it interactive, right? With image maps, or okay.
So your question is,
if that image wouldn't be a PNG but an SVG, then you wouldn't have to draw shapes separately. You could just point at this element in the SVG, make it interactive, put a link in it.
Yeah,
probably.
So we had the interactive SVG earlier. Sorin presented earlier the interactive SVG, but this basically uses the image map element from DITA, so you can layer this information on top of an existing image.
So with the SVG, interactive SVG, you could basically also create image maps.
One advantage of this approach is that it works with keywords, while with SVG you have to write directly.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have a key reference, that's a markup at the DITA level, not within SVG.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I'm sorry?
How much support for multimedia is in
In the web auto.
You can render, you can play them, but Christy, I don't think we have an action for adding.
Currently we don't have an action to which we insert videos, but if
I'm also told that. I look at this.
you will be able to see them.
Yeah.
You can, we don't have a dedicated action, you can include the video element and then edit the attributes. We don't have a nice GUI for
Yeah, so basically all this
Yeah.
support is layered on top of DITA, and we layer that on top of DocBook and XHTML in the next in 19, in the next Oxygen release. But we had to work also on the publishing side to make sure that everything works, and we create these actions. So you don't need to remember. I want to insert a video. How do I do that? Do I insert an object or what element exactly? What attribute? What that should come.
Anything else? Okay.
Do you use
Thank you very much. Sorry.